Hey VW lovers, welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. Today was Wednesday, or is Wednesday, and so that means Rafa was here, and Rafa was continuing to do one of his most favorite things to do, and that is assemble engines. And so as you can see, the 36 horsepower engine, which happens to be for this beautiful 59 deluxe bus, is very nearly done. Just a couple little things we still have to do. We forgot to send out the distributor bracket for zinc plating, so we got to do that. Obviously the ignition wires still need to go on. We're waiting on some of these bracket pieces to come back from powder coating. Those had to be redone because they weren't quite up to our standard for whatever reason. But yeah, so once we get those back and get the actually, we have the wires, we get zinc plating back. So probably Monday when Rafa's here again. He's off Thursday and Friday, and so he'll be back Monday. Then he can just finish this thing up pretty easily, I think. Just, again, those kind of couple little dangling details on it, but it looks amazing. I just never get tired of looking at a beautifully restored stock 36 horsepower engine, any VW engine for that matter, but I don't know, something about these, they're pure art as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so pretty much that's what kept him busy all day. So let's talk about what I did. So those of you that watch routinely know that I had started on the rear brakes yesterday. So this morning I went and did the passenger side, got it all buttoned up, and except for putting the drums on, which I wanted to wait to do until I got the emergency brake cables fully hooked up. The other thing that I did today, or one of the other things, was went ahead and put the transmission in. Pretty much got everything we needed to do that. I like to have the clutch cable and Bowden tube in before we put these in, just because it makes it a lot easier than having to try and flex the Bowden tube and shove it into its little retainer when everything's assembled. I don't like putting a kink in the Bowden tube like that to do that, so I'd rather just slide the transmission kind of onto the tube correctly and then check the amount of bow in it and so on. Anyway, yeah, so that went in. Still waiting on axles. I'm still hoping to buy complete assembled CV axles instead of buying new joints and then assembling them. It's just bang for the buck. It makes way more sense to do it that way than sort of pay me to stand there greasing and assembling CV joints. But yeah, so hopefully those will be in here in the not too distant future. So other than that, I did put a new shift bushing in this car. So those of you that know Volkswagens know that except for the very earliest ones, inside the tunnel here, there's a bracket that kind of hangs down. It's got a hole in it. And the shift rod, which goes, you can see kind of the mouth of it there all the way back, and ultimately will connect to the transmission right back there with a coupler. Putting this billet one in there just because it'll never fail ever. Give the shifter a nice crisp feel to it. Anyway, so back to the bushing up here. I did put a new bushing in, but I am trying one of the new ones made by Washburn Metal. Look them up. You can find them pretty easily. And he had a really good innovation, which is these machined Delrin shift bushings. So the regular ones are made out of this really cheesy, soft plastic, and they're very prone to failure, even sometimes in months or a few years. So Brian designed these and has them machined. This one's been beat up a little bit because it was one I was playing around with. But yeah, these are all machined out of Delrin. You basically pop this thing in, and then it's never going anywhere. The stock one has this annoying metal ring that kind of retains it, and it's just pretty much a complete piece of garbage. It's amazing it took somebody this long to come up with a really slick solution. The only thing I'll say, and I think it's not related to the design of this thing per se, as much as it is probably this car, is on this car the little piece that hangs down that this mounts on. The way it was formed, it actually had some metal, like a metal, I don't know, like gusset for lack of a better word, that was interfering with this flange on this, which is quite a bit bigger than the flange on the stock one. And so what was happening was it was actually pinching it closed just a little bit, and we're probably only talking, you know, like a few thousandths of an inch. But for the life of me, I could not feed the shift rod through the bushing. It would not go. And I wasn't comfortable forcing it, and it's really hard anyway because you're pushing on it through an opening in the front of the car. It's just not a good situation. So after talking to Brian Washburn and Brian Roth at Roth Vintage, who's installed a bunch of these, they kind of gave me some pointers. None of them really helped, but actually they were all things I was doing already. So finally I noticed that interference, and the one that's in there now, I ground the underside of this lip in the area where the that formed metal bracket was kind of interfering with it, and popped it in, and then boom, everything went perfectly. So the shift rod moves really nice now. The owner is never going to have to replace this ever. Whereas if we had put one of the stock cheesy ones in, yeah, it could last months, it could last years. It's really hard to say. But anyway, long story short, very bitchin' piece. Look it up. You can buy these from Brian Washburn directly, or there's other people distributing these. The other thing that I went and did today was I started putting together his controls here. So you see, I installed new heater cables, and then the levers for them. Those are all freshly zinc plated, looking pretty good. And then I went and installed new emergency brake cables and installed the handle. The button was actually really gross, and another use for the ultrasonic cleaner. I threw it in there for probably 10 minutes. It looks new. So yeah, I got that all hooked up. The only thing is I need to cut the heater cables where they come out here and control these flaps on the inside of the car. So there's a flap in the heater channel here, and there's one over here on these Ghias. So I need to cut these cables here, and then there's a little doodad that you join the ends with. But anyway, yeah, those are installed. In the back, obviously, they're not connected to anything. Those will connect to the heater boxes. But yeah, slowly but surely starting to do some assembly on this car. I still haven't done the undercoating on the front, but I'm hoping to get this bus here mobile in the next day or so, and then probably push this one outside and do the undercoating on the front, and then I can start assembling all the front suspension and brakes and so on. So that is it for today, guys. I think I covered all the major things that happened around here. And so, yeah, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.